What if the biggest mistake of your life turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? Not a small mistake. Not a forgotten grocery item or a missed alarm. We're talking about climbing into the wrong car, a stranger's car, a car belonging to one of the most powerful women in the country, with your 4-year-old daughter on your lap, a crumpled school permission slip in your pocket, and absolutely no idea that your entire life was about to change. Stay with me. Because this story is going to break your heart before it heals it. And if you've ever felt like life has asked too much of you, if you've ever been the only one holding everything together while secretly falling apart, this one is for you. And before we go further, if stories like this move you, if they remind you that love still exists in the most unexpected places, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It means more than you know. Now let's begin. His name was Daniel Owusu. 34 years old. A graphic designer who worked freelance from a 2-bedroom apartment that smelled faintly of crayons and instant noodles. He drove a 10-year-old Honda with a broken rear window he'd been meaning to fix for 8 months. He had a grocery list tucked in his back pocket, a phone with 17% battery, and a daughter named Amara who believed with complete certainty that clouds were made of cotton candy. He had been a single dad for 2 years. Amara's mother had left quietly, no argument, no dramatic scene, just a note on the kitchen counter and a silence that moved into the apartment and never fully left. She hadn't been a bad person. She had just been someone who realized, too late, that she wasn't ready for the life they'd built together. Daniel had been shattered. But Amara was 4. She needed breakfast. She needed her hair done. She needed someone to read to her at night with funny voices. And so Daniel got up. Every single day, he got up. He dropped Amara at school, took on every freelance job he could find, picked her up, made dinner, did bath time, put her to bed, and then sat alone in the kitchen at 11 p.m. staring at his laptop screen wondering if this was all there was. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't angry. He was just tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. On the morning our story begins, it was a Tuesday in October. The sky was the color of old dishwater. Amara had decided, 30 seconds before they needed to leave, that she could not possibly wear her left shoe because it had a tiny scuff on the toe that made it, in her words, broken forever. Daniel had spent 11 minutes negotiating with a 4-year-old about footwear. He had lost. They left late. The school bus was gone. His car wouldn't start, dead battery, 3rd time this month. He called an Uber with shaking hands, watched the map, saw a black car pull up to the curb exactly where the app said it would be. He grabbed Amara, yanked the door open, folded himself inside, and exhaled. Sunrise Academy on Maple, please. I'm sorry we're late, she had a situation with her shoes. The woman in the back seat turned slowly. Daniel's voice stopped working. Her name was Victoria Asante. 40 years old. CEO of Asante Holdings, a private equity firm that managed over $400 million in assets. She sat with a posture that said she had never once been late to anything. Her blazer was charcoal. Her earrings were small and silver. Her tablet was open to a spreadsheet that Daniel's brain did not have the capacity to process right now. She looked at him the way a person looks at a bird that has just flown into a glass door. Calm. Slightly surprised. Waiting. This, she said, measuring each word precisely, is my car. Daniel looked at his phone. He looked at the app. He looked at the black Mercedes he was sitting in. He looked at the other black Mercedes parked 6 feet behind it, which had a small Uber sign in the windshield that he had completely failed to notice. He started. Baba, Amara said cheerfully, reaching across to touch the woman's tablet, her car is very shiny. Amara, don't, Daniel caught her hand. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. We'll get out right now. He reached for the door handle. Victoria looked at Amara. Amara looked back at her with the open, fearless gaze that only very small children and very old people have. She tilted her head. "You have pretty eyes," Amara said. "Like the fish at school." Something happened on Victoria's face. Something small and involuntary. Not quite a smile, but the ghost of one, the memory of a smile, perhaps, from a long time ago. "Sunrise Academy," she said quietly to her driver. "Go there first." Daniel stared at her. "You don't have to do that." "I know," she said, eyes already back on her tablet. "Just don't make it strange." The drive to Sunrise Academy took 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Daniel counted. He spent most of those seconds trying to disappear into the leather seat. Amara spent them being entirely herself. She told Victoria about the shoe situation. She explained her theory about clouds. She asked if Victoria had ever seen a snail eat lettuce, because she had, last Tuesday, and it was very slow but also very interesting. She wanted to know if the car had a name. She suggested the name Gerald. Victoria answered every question. Briefly. But she answered them. When they pulled up to the school, Daniel unbuckled Amara, got out, helped her down. She turned and waved at the woman in the back seat with her whole arm, the way kids wave, no restraint, no self-consciousness, just pure unfiltered warmth aimed directly at a stranger. "Bye, nice lady," Amara called. "You smell like Baba's fancy soap." Daniel closed his eyes for 1 second. Opened them. Leaned back into the car. "I am deeply sorry," he said. "About all of that. You're going to be late and it's completely my fault and I." "The board meeting starts at 9, Victoria said, not looking up. "I have 18 minutes. I'm not late." "Still." He hesitated. "Thank you." "Really?" She looked up then. Just for a moment. Their eyes met the way eyes sometimes do when neither person is quite ready for it, a split second of unguarded contact before the walls go back up. "Your daughter," Victoria said, "is extraordinary." Daniel felt something happen in his chest. Something he hadn't felt in 2 years. "Yeah," he said softly. "She's the best thing I've got." He closed the door. The car pulled away. Victoria stared at her spreadsheet for the entire rest of the drive and did not read a single number. Life is strange that way. It gives you a moment, and then it takes it back, and you spend the next week wondering if it was real. Daniel thought about the woman in the car on Wednesday. He thought about her on Thursday. By Friday, he'd decided she was probably the kind of person who forgot about things like that within 60 seconds, which was the sensible thing to do. Victoria thought about the child. She thought about the way the little girl had looked at her, no filter, no agenda, just pure open observation, as if she were the most interesting thing in the world. Victoria Asante had not felt like the most interesting thing in a room in a very long time. She had felt like the most powerful thing. The most competent thing. The most strategic thing. But not interesting. Not really seen. She had built Asante Holdings from nothing. She had sat across boardroom tables from men who spoke over her, through her, around her, and she had outlasted every single one of them. She had a penthouse apartment with a view of the whole city and a calendar booked 6 weeks in advance. She had everything she had ever worked for. She ate dinner alone 4 nights out of 7. The 5th Tuesday came. Victoria told herself she happened to leave the building at the same time. She told herself her driver just happened to take the same route. She was an excellent liar in business. She was less excellent with herself. When she saw him standing outside the school gates, the same wrinkled jacket, a paper coffee cup in each hand, looking like a man who had dressed in the dark and was at peace with it, she told her driver to slow down. Daniel saw the black Mercedes. He felt his stomach do something complicated. He walked over. He held up one of the coffees. "I didn't know which you'd prefer," he said. So I got oat milk and one with too much sugar. I'm prepared to be wrong. Victoria looked at him. She looked at the coffees. She took the oat milk one. You were here last Tuesday too, she said. It was not a question. I take Amara to school every Tuesday. I don't usually come this way. They looked at each other. Neither said anything about that. There's a diner around the corner, Daniel said. If you have 18 minutes. Victoria checked her watch. She put her phone in her pocket. I have 20, she said. They talked. Not the careful, angled kind of talking that people do when they're trying to seem impressive. The other kind. The accidental kind, where you start saying something small and end up saying something real before you can stop yourself. Daniel told her about the Honda with the broken window. She told him about the first pitch meeting she'd ever taken, where she'd shown up in a borrowed blazer and mispronounced the word liquidity and still walked out with the client. He laughed. She seemed surprised that she'd told him. He told her about Amara's mother. Not the whole story, just the shape of it. The counter. The note. The silence. He said it the way you say things when you've finally decided they belong to you rather than to the pain. She was quiet for a moment. Do you miss her? Victoria asked. Sometimes, Daniel said. But mostly I think I missed who I thought she was. That's a different kind of grief. Victoria wrapped both hands around her coffee cup. I've never let anyone close enough to miss them, she said. She said it the way you admit something you didn't plan to admit, with a kind of tired relief, like setting down something heavy. That sounds lonely, Daniel said. She looked at him. It is. 20 minutes became 40. She was late to her 9:30 call. She cancelled it. Her assistant sent her 3 messages. She put her phone face down on the table. It was the first time in 6 years she had cancelled a meeting for something that wasn't a crisis. She wasn't entirely sure this didn't count as one. Nothing that's worth anything is ever easy. That's not pessimism. That's just the truth. Victoria's board found out she'd been seen at a diner near a primary school on a Tuesday morning, which meant someone had been watching, which meant someone was nervous about what she was doing with her time. She was a CEO. Her time belonged to everyone. Her personal life was a liability if it gave anyone ammunition. Her second-in-command, a man named Garrett who smiled too much, mentioned Daniel's name in a meeting. He'd done his research. Freelance designer. Moderate income. Single parent. No profile. I just want to make sure you're being careful, Garrett said, in the voice of someone who did not want her to be careful at all, who wanted her distracted and second-guessing and vulnerable. Victoria thanked him politely and ended the meeting 12 minutes early. But that night, standing at her penthouse window, watching the city below, she felt the old fear arrive like a familiar cold. The fear that loving something was the same as giving someone a weapon. That the moment she let something matter, it became the thing they could use against her. She didn't call Daniel. 2 weeks passed. Daniel waited. He didn't know he was waiting, exactly, but he was. He found himself listening for a black Mercedes on Tuesday mornings. He found himself making 2 coffees when Amara knocked over his. He noticed things the way you notice things when someone has made the world slightly more vivid and then stepped out of it. He didn't call her either. He didn't have her number. He had a name, Victoria Asante, which led to a Wikipedia page that made him feel like he'd been having coffee with a continent. Then, on a Saturday afternoon, his phone buzzed. An unknown number. 4 words. Are you free Tuesday? He stared at it for a long time. Only if Amara can come, he typed back. A pause. Then, obviously. Children understand things adults have forgotten. They meet people without conditions. They feel safe or unsafe within 30 seconds, and they're rarely wrong. They don't care about net worth or job titles or whether someone cancelled a meeting once. They just know if a person is good. Amara had decided, on that first Tuesday morning in the shiny car, that the nice lady with the fish eyes was good. She'd filed this information away with complete confidence and moved on to thinking about snails. When she saw Victoria again, at the park, on that Saturday, because Tuesday had become too long to wait, she walked straight up to her without hesitation and held out a drawing she'd made. It was, in theory, a fish. It had 7 eyes and no fins and what appeared to be a small hat. "That's you," Amara explained. Victoria looked at the drawing for a long moment. Then she crouched down to Amara's level, which was not something she did for very many people. "It's beautiful," Victoria said, and meant it more than she'd meant anything in a long time. "You can keep it," Amara said magnanimously. "I have more at home." Daniel watched from 3 steps back, his heart doing the thing it had been doing every time he saw these two together, expanding, quietly, in a way that was almost painful. Later, when Amara was on the swings and they were sitting on a bench in the thin October sun, Victoria said something. "I pulled back," she said. "These past 2 weeks. I want you to know it wasn't about you." "I know what it was about," Daniel said. She looked at him. "It's scary," he said simply. "Letting someone matter. Especially when you've already built an entire life that works without them." "And you," she said. "You've already been left once. Twice, if you count the last 2 weeks." He said it gently. Not as an accusation. Just as a fact. She breathed out. "I don't know how to do this." "Neither do I," he said. "But Amara seems to think you're a 7-eyed fish in a hat. And her instincts are excellent." Victoria laughed. Really laughed, the way she used to before the company got large enough to be frightening. "What does that mean?" she said. "I think it means she'd like you to keep showing up. If you want to." She looked at Amara, spinning gleefully on the swings, narrating to herself about clouds and Gerald the car. She looked at Daniel. "I want to," she said. 6 months later, on a Tuesday morning, a little girl in a yellow coat ran across a school car park and threw herself at a woman in a charcoal blazer. The woman caught her without hesitation. She had been practicing. A man in an almost but not quite wrinkled jacket watched from a few feet away, holding 2 coffees. His Honda had a new rear window. It had taken him a year to get around to it. Nobody had gotten into the wrong car. Nobody had made a mistake. Or maybe the whole thing had been exactly right from the very first second. A tired man and a distracted CEO and a 4-year-old who smelled a stranger and decided, without any doubt at all, that she was safe. The world breaks us in ways we don't expect. It asks things of us that we don't think we can give. And then, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, it gives back. In the form of a wrong door, a shiny car, a child's drawing of a fish with a hat, and a woman who learned that letting something matter is not the same as losing it. It is, in fact, the only way to ever truly have it. If this story touched you, if you've ever climbed into the wrong life and found something better there, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every share brings this story to someone who might need it today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.